I gave my entire life to one person, my only son. I sacrificed my youth, my health, my dreams. But on the day that should have been his happiest, he shattered my entire world with one brutal truth. And he did it publicly, in front of hundreds of people. Before I begin, let me tell you how a mother becomes a stranger in her own child's eyes. My name is Margaret Hansen, and I am 63 years old. I live in a quiet corner of Syriana, Arizona, where the desert winds carry old memories the way sand clings to skin. Quiet, persistent, impossible to shake off. Tonight, as I sit near the window of my small living room, watching the orange sun sink into the horizon, I realize something I never had the courage to admit before. You can survive wars, deaths, and storms. But sometimes you cannot survive your own child. My story didn't begin with tragedy. It began with love, pure, unfiltered, unconditional love. 24 years ago, when my husband David passed away unexpectedly, I found myself standing in a hospital hallway holding my 9-year-old son Adam's trembling hand. He was so small, so breakable, and so terrified of losing the only parent he had left. In that moment, I made him a silent promise. I will become everything you need. And I did. I worked 2 jobs, day shifts at the clinic, night shifts at a grocery store. I slept 4 hours a night. I skipped meals so Adam wouldn't have to. When he got sick, I stayed awake by his bedside for days. When school trips came, I sewed clothes for neighbors just to afford the fees. When he talked about his dreams, I wrote them down like holy scripture. Over the years, I gave up. My career, my hobbies, my health, my entire savings. Every piece of comfort I could have had. But I never complained. I was proud. Proud of the man he was becoming. Proud of the world he was stepping into. I wanted his life to be smoother than mine. That desire became the fire that kept me alive. When Adam entered high school, I worked overtime to pay for his books and competitions. When he chose engineering, I broke my last savings account, $40,000, without thinking twice. When he graduated and struggled to find a stable start, I sold jewelry David had given me and bought him a modest but beautiful apartment, $310,000 out of my retirement fund. Everyone told me, "Margaret, you're doing too much. You need boundaries." But I always replied, "A mother never does too much." If only I knew that boundaries are what protect mothers from heartbreaks they never see coming. I raised Adam alone. I watched him grow from a terrified boy into a confident young man. He used to hug me every night and say, "Mom, when I become successful, I'll give you everything back." But life is cruel in strange ways. Sometimes the child you raise with love is taken away from you, not by distance, not by death, but by another person who knows exactly how to twist love into poison. And that is where my real story begins. 4 years, my life was nothing more than a cycle of work, exhaustion, and unconditional love. I used to wake up before sunrise, pack Adam's lunch, braid his hair when he was little, and whisper a prayer over him before leaving for work. People often told me they didn't know how I managed everything alone after David's death. But the truth was, I didn't know either. I simply survived because my son needed me to. I worked double shifts for most of his childhood. I left home at 6 in the morning and returned close to midnight. By the time I opened the front door, my legs barely had strength left, but the moment I heard Adam call out "Mom" from his room, every ache softened. I would check his homework, warm up leftovers, wash his uniform for the next day, and sit on the edge of his bed until he fell asleep. Before closing his eyes, he always whispered the same words, "Good night, Mom. I love you." Those 5 seconds of love kept me alive through everything. Money was tight, painfully tight, but I never wanted Adam to feel it. When he needed a new pair of sports shoes, I quietly skipped dinner for a few days. When he needed textbooks, I sold my old jewelry. When he wanted to join the robotics club, I stitched clothes for neighbors late at night to cover the fee. There were winters where I wore the same torn coat for 3 years because his school projects mattered more than my comfort. When he reached high school, expenses grew even heavier. Competitions, trips, equipment, things other parents could afford, but I couldn't. Still, I made it happen. I cut down on everything I could. I didn't buy new clothes for almost a decade. I let go of medical checkups I desperately needed. I stopped buying anything for myself because all I cared about was Adam's future. The biggest turning point came when Adam was accepted into an engineering program. He stood in front of me with the acceptance letter, shaking with happiness, and I felt tears pour down my face. It was the first time in years I cried from joy. I knew this opportunity could change his entire life, but college wasn't cheap. Tuition was overwhelming, books alone cost hundreds of dollars, lab fees were endless, and he needed a laptop to keep up with his classes. I went into my bedroom, opened the metal box hidden under my bed, and pulled out the envelope that held my emergency savings. 15 years of scraping, saving, and sacrificing. $40,000. Every dollar had a story behind it. Every dollar carried a piece of my struggle. But I didn't think twice. I placed the entire amount into his hands and said, "You're going to build the life you deserve. Don't worry about anything else." Adam cried and hugged me tightly. He kept repeating, "Mom, I'll return every cent. I promise." But mothers never want money back. We only want our children to become better than us. After college, when Adam struggled to find his footing, I watched the confidence slowly drain from his face. Job rejections broke him. The weight of student life crushed him. One evening, he sat at the table with his head in his hands and whispered, "Mom, I don't know how to start." That night, I made the biggest financial decision of my life. I emptied the last big portion of my retirement fund and bought him a $310,000 apartment so he could focus on building his career instead of drowning in rent and insecurity. People called me foolish. They said I was ruining my own future. They warned me that children change once they fall in love or get married. I ignored everyone. I believed a mother's love was stronger than the world's cynicism. When I handed Adam the keys, he hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. "No one has ever loved me the way you do," he said, and I felt my heart expand with pride. I looked at him and thought, he will always know what I did for him. But life is strange. And love, when poisoned, becomes unrecognizable. I didn't know then that one day the same son, whose future I protected with my life, would let a stranger twist his heart and turn him against me. I didn't know that all my sacrifices would be rewritten as manipulation. I didn't know that the boy I raised alone would one day publicly humiliate me in a way I didn't even know was possible. At that time, all I knew was this: Adam was my world. And I was building his future with everything I had. I had no idea someone was coming who would burn that future down. Not by destroying him, but by destroying me in his eyes. Adam was 24 when he first mentioned her. I remember the way his voice changed, soft, excited, almost shy. He walked into the kitchen one evening, leaned against the counter and said, "Mom, there's someone I want you to meet." His cheeks were flushed, his eyes bright. In that moment, I felt relief. Love, I thought, would finally give him the happiness he'd been searching for. Her name was Nicole Turner. When she walked into our home for the first time, I felt an odd shift in the air. She was beautiful, tall, elegant, with an almost flawless smile. But behind that smile, something felt off. A coldness. A distance. A sharpness in her eyes that contradicted her soft voice. She extended her hand to me and said, "It's wonderful to finally meet you, Mrs. Hanson." But her grip was limp. Her eyes weren't warm. She wasn't really seeing me. She was scanning me, sizing me up, evaluating me like I was an obstacle she expected to confront later. Still, I welcomed her with open arms. I cooked dinner. I asked questions. I tried to understand her life. But every time I asked something about her family, something tightened in her expression. Her parents were strict, controlling, overbearing. They had dictated where she studied, who she met, what she wore, where she could go. And the scars of that control were still fresh. She spoke of them with bitterness, anger simmering just beneath the surface. What I didn't realize at the time was that she wasn't just running away from her parents' control. She was looking for someone new to blame, someone new to accuse, someone new to project her wounds onto. And that someone became me. From the beginning, she disliked how close Adam and I were. She disliked that I cooked for him, that I asked him about work, that he told me his plans. I could feel her discomfort like a silent current in the room. Over the next few weeks, she started planting little seeds, subtle comments, quiet suggestions, seemingly innocent phrases that turned into poison. "Adam, your mom is always so involved. Doesn't it feel exhausting sometimes? Do you think she'll ever let you live your own life? I feel like she's still treating you like a child. Doesn't that bother you?" I saw Adam's expressions change slightly every time. Just a flicker. A tiny spark of doubt. But it was enough. The first real shift happened the night Nicole cooked dinner for us. She made pasta, arranged candles, tried to set an intimate mood. I walked into the kitchen with plates, trying to help. But she turned sharply and said, "It's okay, Mrs. Hanson. I can handle it." Her tone was polite. Her eyes were not. Adam didn't notice. He just kept smiling. But I felt it, the tightening of a rope I didn't know was being placed around my relationship with my son. A week later, Adam came home late. His shoulders were tense, his voice quiet. "Mom," he said, "Nicole thinks you judge her." I was stunned. Judge her? I've never said a single negative word about her. "I know, Mom," he said, "but she feels it." That night, after he went to bed, I sat alone in the dark living room and tried to understand how my love could be interpreted as control. I never interfered. I never told him whom to date. I never asked for anything in return. All I did was care. But Nicole wasn't done. She started twisting every gesture of mine, every effort, every question, every concern, into something sinister. If I asked Adam if he wanted dinner, she said I was babying him. If I bought groceries, she said I wanted control. If I reminded him of an appointment, she said I was treating him like a child. If I asked about their plans, she said I was intruding. Slowly, subtly, Adam began to pull away. He answered me with shorter sentences. He came home later. He stopped sharing things the way he used to. He avoided long conversations. He became distant, almost guarded around me. I knew something was wrong. But mothers never assume the worst. We always believe we can fix things with love. The real blow came when Nicole told him the biggest lie of all. "Your mother doesn't want to contribute to the wedding. She told me I'm not good enough for you." I never said anything like that. Not even close. But Nicole said it with such confidence, such tears, such trembling emotion. That Adam believed her. He believed the woman he loved. And for the first time in his entire life, he doubted me. From that moment, I felt him slipping away like sand through my fingers. I tried talking to him. I tried clearing the air. But Nicole always intervened. Always whispered something when I wasn't looking. Always tightened her grip on his mind. One evening, I saw it fully. Adam walked into the house, looked at me with eyes I didn't recognize, and greeted me without warmth, without emotion, without the love that used to shine inside him. A new truth settled painfully in my chest. Someone else was rewriting my story, and replacing every sacrifice of mine with fabricated manipulation. I didn't know how far Nicole was willing to go. I didn't know how much she resented the bond one had with Adam. I didn't know that she had already planned my humiliation. But I could feel a storm building, quiet, slow, invisible to Adam, but ripping my heart apart long before it arrived. And it would arrive in the worst way a mother could imagine. I didn't know it yet, but Nicole had already begun the real work, poisoning Adam's mind in ways that would eventually erase every memory of sacrifice I had given him. It started small, with subtle comments after dinners or during car rides, but soon her words grew sharper, clearer, more deliberate. One night, I saw her whispering to Adam outside our house. I couldn't hear the words, but I could read the body language. Nicole's arms were crossed tightly against her chest, her face tense, her voice low and emotional. Adam kept shaking his head, as if trying to understand something that didn't make sense, but she kept touching his arm, leaning closer. When they finally walked in, Adam looked at me, not with anger, not with frustration, but with a question in his eyes. A question I had not earned. That was the beginning. Nicole knew exactly what she was doing. She wasn't attacking me directly, no. She was attacking Adam's perception of me. She was twisting every gesture into a hidden intention, every kindness into control, every sacrifice into manipulation. When I packed Adam's lunch for work, she told him, "She wants to keep you dependent." When I asked if he reached home safely, she said, "She's monitoring you." When I bought groceries for them, she said, "She's marking her territory." When I asked about their future plans, she said, "She's trying to run our marriage before it even begins." Adam tried to ignore it at first, but repeated poison becomes truth when whispered enough times. Nicole wasn't jealous of me. She was terrified of me. Terrified that a mother's love was stronger than her influence. Terrified that Adam might choose my guidance over hers. Terrified that I held a place in his life she could never replace. I didn't realize how deep her insecurities ran until the night everything shifted forever. Adam had suggested that the three of us discuss wedding planning. I was thrilled. I prepared snacks, cleaned the living room, set out a small notebook to help with budgeting. When they arrived, Nicole barely acknowledged me. She sat down, crossed her legs, and began speaking as if she were addressing a stranger she didn't want to impress. "We've made most of the decisions already," she said. I blinked in surprise. "Oh, I thought you wanted to plan together." She shrugged. "It's our wedding. We don't want it to feel controlled." Controlled. There it was again. That word she loved to attach to me. Adam didn't look at me. Not once. Then the real blow came. It was like a knife, cold and deliberate. "Adam and I talked," Nicole continued, "and your mother said she didn't want to pay for the wedding. She said I'm not the right match for you. I tried not to take it personally." "What?" I interrupted, my heart dropping. "Nicole, I never." But she didn't let me finish. She lowered her gaze, pretended to wipe a tear, and whispered, "Adam, please. I don't want to repeat her words. It hurts." Adam's entire body stiffened. He turned to me slowly, and for the first time in his life, I saw distrust. "Mom, did you really say that?" My throat closed. My heart hammered painfully in my chest. "Adam, I swear to you, I never said anything like that. I would never." Nicole placed her hand on his arm dramatically, cutting me off without even looking at me. "Please," she whispered, "don't fight. It's our wedding. Let's just keep the peace." It was genius, twisted, Cruel genius. She didn't accuse me loudly. She didn't confront me directly. She quietly positioned herself as the victim. Adam didn't defend me. He didn't question her. He simply believed the lie. From that moment, her narrative took root in his mind. I saw the change immediately. He stopped asking me for advice. He stopped texting me updates. He stopped coming home for dinner. He started choosing Nicole's version of reality over mine. A few weeks later, he said something that made my blood freeze. "Mom, maybe it's time I start living my own life. You've always been very involved." Very involved. The same phrase Nicole used. He wasn't speaking from his heart. He was repeating her words. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I didn't want to wedge him further away. But deep inside, a part of me cracked. I began noticing more signs. Nicole would whisper to him at family gatherings. She'd roll her eyes subtly when I spoke. She'd pull Adam aside anytime I tried having a one-on-one conversation with him. She even stopped greeting me properly. Her final blow, the one that planted absolute hatred, came a week before the wedding. She told Adam that I had warned her not to marry him. She said I was sabotaging them. She said I wanted to drive her out of his life. None of it was true. But Adam believed her. And with that belief, Nicole gained full control of his heart, of his decisions, of his perception, of everything I had built. I didn't know then the extent of damage she was capable of. I didn't know that she would take her lies so far that she would turn Adam into someone I didn't recognize. I didn't know she was planning something so humiliating, so cruel, so publicly devastating, that it would destroy me in front of hundreds of people. The storm wasn't coming. It was already here. And I was standing in its path, unaware, unprotected, unprepared. I should have known something was wrong when Adam stopped telling me the details of the wedding venue. Whenever I asked, he would give vague answers. We're still deciding, Nicole's handling it, you don't need to stress, Mom. But deep inside, I felt a heaviness I couldn't name. A mother always senses when her child is slipping away, even when she pretends nothing is happening. One afternoon, about 10 days before the wedding, Nicole called Adam into another room while I was visiting. I didn't intend to listen, but their voices carried through the thin walls. She's trying to take over, Nicole hissed. Your mom is acting like this is her wedding, not ours. You need to set boundaries. She is toxic, Adam. This is exactly what I warned you about. My heart sank. Toxic. That word again. She said it softly, but her tone sliced like a blade. Adam whispered back, Nicole, she's my mother. She raised me alone. She's just excited. She's controlling you, Nicole insisted. She wants attention. She wants the wedding to revolve around her. Don't you see it? I stepped back before they noticed I'd heard anything. My hands trembled. My breath shook. My chest burned. I had never once tried to take control. I had only offered help, financially, emotionally, practically. But Nicole twisted everything I did into something dark, something selfish, something ugly. That night when I got home, I cried silently into my pillow. Not because of Nicole's words, but because I knew Adam believed at least a part of them. A mother knows. By the time the last week before the wedding arrived, Adam barely spoke to me. His messages were short. His tone was cold. And every time I asked if everything was all right, he would reply stiffly, We're fine, Mom. Stop worrying. Stop worrying. As if a mother could ever stop. Still, I held on to hope. I told myself that weddings were stressful. That maybe he was overwhelmed. That maybe after the ceremony, everything would be normal again. I clung to that small hope like a lifeline. And then came the wedding day. I woke up early, showered, and took my time with my hair. I wore a soft blue dress, simple, elegant, the color Adam loved on me since he was 5 years old. I even wore the pearl earrings his father had gifted me before he died. I looked at myself in the mirror and whispered, "It's his big day. Just be happy for him." My hands were shaking, but I smiled through the anxiety. I grabbed the small velvet box that held Adam's father's gold watch, a gift I planned to give him before the ceremony as a symbol of love, of blessings, of family. I imagined him smiling, hugging me, thanking me. I drove to the venue with my heart full, ready to see my son step into a new chapter of his life. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what awaited. As I approached the entrance of the grand hall, I immediately sensed something was wrong. Everyone standing at the doorway stared at me, not with warmth or welcome, but with shock, pity, and something worse, amusement. I slowed down, confused. Women whispered behind their hands. Men exchanged looks. A few younger guests actually laughed. My heart pounded in my throat. I forced myself to keep walking. Then I saw it. Hanging right above the entrance, huge, unavoidable, lit with golden spotlights, was a massive digital LED screen, at least 20 feet wide, bright and impossible to ignore. And on that screen, it was my face. A photograph of me from last year at a charity event. Smiling innocently, unaware that one day this image would be used to destroy me. But the picture wasn't the worst part. Above my photo, in large glowing letters, were the words, "This woman is not invited." And beneath it, in a second line, written in red like a warning, "Toxic. Controlling. Unwelcome." My knees went numb. My heart dropped so violently it felt like it cracked. Guests were walking under that giant screen, pointing at me, whispering, shaking their heads. A woman gasped, "Oh God, is that her?" A young man snickered, "Damn. Imagine your own son doing that to you." Someone else muttered, "She must have done something horrible." I couldn't breathe. My vision blurred. It felt like the ground tilted beneath me. For a moment, I genuinely thought I would collapse right there. I pressed a hand to my chest, trying to hold myself together, trying not to fall apart in front of strangers who were delighting in my humiliation. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I wouldn't let them fall. Not here, not in front of these people. I looked around desperately, hoping, praying, that Adam would appear, run to me, remove the screen, explain this was a mistake. But he didn't. Instead, I saw him inside the hall, standing next to Nicole, surrounded by her family. Adam was laughing. Laughing as if this day held no darkness. Then he glanced toward the entrance and saw me. Our eyes met. For a tiny second, I saw a flicker of something. Panic, guilt, shame, I couldn't tell. But then Nicole whispered something in his ear, and Adam looked away. Just like that. He looked away. He didn't walk toward me. He didn't tell them to remove the screen. He didn't even gesture for me to enter. He pretended I wasn't there. At that moment, something inside me shattered. Something I had protected for 30 years. A mother's heart can break 1,000 times quietly. But this time, the crack was loud enough to echo in my soul. I stood there, under the blinding lights of that cruel screen, trembling from head to toe, feeling the entire world watch my destruction. The watch box slipped slightly in my hand. I held it tighter. It suddenly felt heavy, like the weight of every sacrifice I had ever made. And in that moment, I finally understood. My son had chosen humiliation. He had chosen Nicole's version of me. He had chosen to destroy his own mother on the most important day of his life. And what came next was even worse. For a long moment, I couldn't move. My feet felt glued to the ground, my breath thin and painful, as if the cold words on the screen were pressing down on my chest. I kept hoping, desperately, That someone would tell me this was a mistake, a cruel joke, a technical glitch. But no one did. Everyone just watched. Some with curiosity. Some with pity. Some with enjoyment. I finally gathered the strength to take a step closer to the hall entrance. Just one step. But immediately, a young man in a black suit, clearly working security, stepped forward and raised a hand. "Ma'am, sorry. You can't enter." His voice was polite, but firm, rehearsed, prepared. Like he had been told in advance who I was and what to say if I showed up. I swallowed hard. "I'm the groom's mother." He didn't blink. "I understand, ma'am, but we were given strict instructions. You're not allowed inside." Strict instructions. From my own son. I felt my throat tighten. Can you please call Adam? Let me speak to him." He shook his head. He said he does not want to be disturbed. My heart sank even deeper. Behind him, guests continued walking under the massive LED screen, glancing at me as they passed. One couple slowed down, not even trying to be discreet. "That's her," the woman whispered loudly. "Imagine being labeled toxic at your own son's wedding." Her husband chuckled. "Must have done something terrible." I hugged the velvet box with both hands, as if holding it could stop me from collapsing. A staff member carrying a tray of drinks passed by, staring directly at me before muttering under his breath, "Shameful. Shameful." I wanted to scream. "You don't know me. You don't know what I've done. You don't know how I raised him alone. You don't know what I sacrificed." But my voice refused to come out. Instead, I took another shaky breath and said softly to the guard, "Please, just tell Adam I'm here. That's all I'm asking." The guard hesitated, glancing inside as if unsure whether he should risk it. Before he could move, Nicole's mother appeared at the entrance. Her expression sharpened the moment she saw me. "Oh," she said, her lips curling into a mocking smile. "You actually came?" I blinked in disbelief. "Why wouldn't I come? It's my son's wedding." She stepped closer, lowering her voice but not the cruelty. "Well, considering how much stress you've caused the couple, I thought you'd do the right thing and stay away." The right thing. Stay away. From my own child's wedding. I felt heat flood my face. Not anger, but humiliation so sharp it burned. I have never caused stress. All I ever did was try to help. She laughed softly, shaking her head. "You see, that's the problem. You don't realize what you're doing. You smother him. You control him. You always have. It's time to let him live his own life." My voice cracked. "I raised him alone. I did everything for him. How could you?" She cut me off with a dismissive wave of her hand. "He told us what you said to Nicole. That you don't want her in his life. That you think she's beneath your son. That you try to stop the wedding." My stomach twisted violently. "That's a lie. I never said anything like that." Her eyes sparkled with satisfaction. "Well, he believes it." Her words hit harder than anything else that evening. He believes it. He believes she is toxic. He believes lies over his own mother. The guard stepped aside as two bridesmaids approached, whispering to each other while openly staring at me. "That's her," one of them murmured. "No wonder he banned her." The other giggled. Nicole was right. She looks like someone who would ruin a wedding. For a moment, my body felt weightless. My ears rang. My heartbeat pounded in my temples. I had never felt so small. Then I noticed movement inside the hall. Adam was walking toward the entrance. My heart leaped with fragile hope. Maybe, just maybe, he had realized how wrong this was. He stopped a few feet away from the entrance. He didn't look at me. He didn't come closer. He didn't smile. He didn't even show a hint of warmth. He simply stood there, adjusting his cufflinks as if preparing for a business meeting, not the most important moment of our lives. "Adam," I whispered, stepping forward. The guard blocked me before I could reach him. I stared at my son. "Adam, what is this? Why is my picture on that screen? Why am I being kept outside?" Nicole appeared beside him, sliding her hand into his arm as if she belonged there, as if she owned him. She leaned her head sweetly against his shoulder, but her eyes, those eyes looked at me with pure triumph. "This is for the best," she said softly. "It's your big day, Adam. You don't need drama." Drama. That's what they called a mother wanting to attend her son's wedding. Adam finally lifted his eyes to mine. But they were cold. Distant. Almost unrecognizable. "Mom," he said quietly. "We made this decision together. Nicole and I think it's better if you don't come inside. We want a peaceful ceremony." I felt my hand clutch the velvet box so tightly my knuckles went white. "Peaceful?" I repeated, barely able to breathe. "Peaceful for who? Do you think this is peaceful? Publicly humiliating me? Putting my picture up like some criminal?" Someone inside laughed. Someone else took a picture of me on their phone. Adam's jaw tightened. "Mom, please don't make a scene." A scene. He thought I was making the scene. My voice broke completely. "Adam, I raised you. I stood by you through everything. How could you?" Nicole cut in sharply. "See? This is exactly what we mean. Emotional manipulation. Guilt tripping. This is why she can't be here." I looked at Adam, waiting, hoping that he would defend me, correct her, say something. Anything. But he didn't. He simply looked away. My heart cracked open. In that second, I realized. My son wasn't confused. He wasn't pressured. He wasn't overwhelmed. He had chosen this. He had chosen her over me. Chosen lies over love. Chosen cruelty over compassion. I felt something die inside me, quietly, painfully, silently. Without another word, I stepped back. The guard didn't need to push me. My own feet moved on their own. I turned away from the hall, from the LED screen shouting my humiliation, from the whispers, from the laughter, from the betrayal. But as I walked back to my car, trembling and hollow, a single thought kept echoing in my mind. This isn't over. Because I didn't know it yet. But the truth was preparing to burst open. And when it did, the ones who humiliated me would answer for every single tear they made me shed. I don't remember driving home. I don't remember unlocking the door. Everything after that humiliating walk back to my car felt like a fog, heavy, suffocating, endless. When I reached my living room, I just sat on the floor, still wearing my soft blue dress, still clutching the velvet box I had brought for Adam. I placed the box gently beside me and stared at it. Inside was the watch Adam's father had hoped to give him on his wedding day. A symbol of legacy. A symbol of love. A symbol of everything I thought still connected us. But now it felt like a painful reminder of a bond that no longer existed. My phone buzzed once that night. Just once. It was a notification from social media. Someone had tagged my name in a video. My hands trembled as I tapped it open. It was a guest recording the wedding entrance, the moment people walked under that giant LED screen with my picture. The caption read, "Groom bans his own mother from the wedding, flushed face skull." The comments were worse. Dozens of strangers mocking me, calling me controlling, calling me overbearing, calling me toxic. They didn't know me. They didn't know anything. But they had already decided who I was based on one digital screen and one lie repeated enough times to sound like truth. I turned off my phone and pressed both hands to my face. And I cried. Not the quiet tears of stress. Not the soft sobbing of frustration. No. It was the kind of cry that comes from a wound so deep, it shakes your soul. The kind of cry a mother releases only when the person she gave her life to destroys her without hesitation. Hours passed. Maybe minutes. Time didn't exist that night. When I finally opened my eyes, the room felt darker, colder, quieter. I felt empty, like every part of me had been drained. But beneath that emptiness, something else was growing. Not anger. Not revenge. Not hatred. Just truth. Truth I had ignored for months. Truth I had softened because I wanted to believe the best. Truth I had silenced because I didn't want to break my family further. Nicole lied. And Adam believed her. Because believing her was easier than thinking for himself. Something was wrong. Very wrong. All those conversations Adam suddenly stopped having with me. All those financial mistakes he made recently. Money disappearing from his account. The strange tensions at work. The way Nicole always insisted she knew best. The way she kept him isolated. The way she pushed me out of his life step by step. It wasn't just insecurity. It wasn't just manipulation. There was something deeper. Something calculated. Something dangerous. The next morning, I woke up to a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I had barely slept. My eyes were swollen, my throat raw, my body still heavy with humiliation. When I opened the door, I was stunned. It was Daniel, Adam's childhood friend, the boy who grew up in my house, who ate at my dinner table every week, who always called me auntie. They had been close once, practically brothers, until Nicole came into the picture. And suddenly Daniel wasn't welcome anymore. His face was tense, urgent. Something was wrong. "Auntie," he said, stepping in quickly. I need to talk to you. It's important." I blinked through the fog of exhaustion. "Daniel? What's going on?" He looked around nervously before speaking, lowering his voice despite the silence of my house. "It's about Adam." My heart tightened. "Is he okay?" Daniel shook his head. "No. And I think you need to know what's happening, because he won't tell you himself." I felt my blood freeze. "What do you mean?" Daniel took a deep breath, running a shaky hand through his hair. "I didn't want to interfere. Not until last night. But after what they did to you at the wedding, I couldn't stay quiet anymore." My chest tightened painfully. "Daniel, please, tell me the truth." He swallowed hard. "It's Nicole," he said. "She's been lying to him. About everything. She convinced him you're trying to control him, but that's not the worst part." I felt my stomach drop. "What's the worst part?" He hesitated for a long moment before answering. "Auntie, Nicole didn't fall in love with Adam." He looked up, eyes filled with guilt and worry. "She targeted him." The room shifted. My breath caught. I felt like the floor was disappearing under me. Targeted. I whispered. "Why would she target my son?" Daniel's voice lowered even more. "Because Adam had something she needed." "What?" "Money." I asked, my voice shaking. He nodded slowly. "She used him. Manipulated him. And now, she's trying to get full control over his assets. Every single one." My heart went cold. "What assets? Adam doesn't have anything major." Daniel shook his head. "No, Auntie. He doesn't. But you do." A sharp chill shot through my spine. "She convinced him that you're planning to cut him off financially. That's why she keeps telling him you're controlling. She wants him angry at you. Blind. Dependent only on her." My knees weakened. Daniel, please tell me this isn't true. He swallowed hard, his voice breaking. Auntie, I think Nicole wants Adam to sign over the rights to your house. I felt like someone had punched the air out of my lungs. My house. I whispered. He nodded. Adam would never have thought of that himself. Nicole wants security. She wants ownership. She wants to trap him, and she wants you out of the way. My heartbeat became a roar inside my ears. In a single moment, everything made sense. The manipulation, the lies, the sudden coldness, the cruelty, the humiliation, the wedding ban, the LED screen. They weren't accidents. They weren't misunderstandings. They weren't emotional decisions. They were steps. Carefully planned steps. Leading to one ultimate goal. Break the mother. Isolate the son. Gain control. Take everything. My tears dried instantly. For the first time in months, my mind felt crystal clear. Nicole had declared war long before the wedding. And now? Now she had crossed a line no one, absolutely no one, could come back from. I looked at Daniel, my voice steady, calm, almost frighteningly controlled. Daniel, thank you for telling me. He nodded, eyes filled with relief that I finally knew the truth. Then I said the words I had never imagined would come from my mouth. This ends now. The moment those words left my mouth, this ends now, I felt something inside me shift. It wasn't rage. It wasn't revenge. It was clarity. A kind of clarity that only comes after a lifetime of loving someone who suddenly becomes a stranger. Clarity born from heartbreak. From betrayal. From humiliation so deep it forces you to stand up, even when you feel too broken to move. Daniel watched me silently, as if unsure whether to comfort me or fear what I might do next. I stood up slowly, wiped the last remnants of tears from my face, and straightened my shoulders. Daniel, I said quietly, I need you to tell me everything. From the beginning. No holding back. He nodded and sat with me at the dining table. Outside, the sky was still gray, cloudy, heavy with winter air. It felt fitting. The world itself looked bruised. Auntie, he began, this started months ago. After Adam met Nicole, she began planting ideas into his head. Small at first. Little comments. Your mom is too involved. Your mom doesn't trust your decisions. Your mom still treats you like a child. I closed my eyes briefly. Yes. I remembered those shifts. The distance. The sudden irritability. The cold bedtime messages. The disappearing conversations. She told him you were trying to stop the wedding, Daniel continued. Then she told him you didn't approve of her because she wasn't good enough. She would cry in front of him. Pretend to be hurt. Make him feel guilty for defending you. Manipulation. Weaponized softness. Tears used as currency. Lies dressed as vulnerability. And Adam, my sweet, hard-working, soft-hearted son, fell for every single one. Daniel hesitated before speaking again. It got worse when she learned about your house's market value. I froze. My house. You bought it early. It's worth a lot now. Nicole saw the financial records when Adam was updating his emergency contact info at work. She realized your property was more valuable than she expected. My stomach twisted. So she targeted Adam because she wanted security? Daniel nodded. She wants leverage. Something permanent. Something she can legally tie to herself. Adam is blinded by her. He thinks marrying her means trusting her completely. My hands curled slowly into fists. Daniel continued softly, Auntie, the night before the wedding, Nicole told Adam you called her a gold digger. My breath hitched. I never said that. Never. I know, Daniel said gently. But Adam didn't question it. He trusted her more than you. And once he believed you insulted her, banning you from the wedding felt justified to him. A sharp ache shot through my chest. And the LED screen? Daniel's jaw tightened. Nicole's idea. She said it would avoid drama if the guests knew not to let you in. My entire body went numb. Avoid drama. By humiliating me publicly. By flashing my picture like a warning sign. By turning my sacrifice into mockery. For a moment, silence filled the room, thick, oppressive, suffocating. Then Daniel reached into his jacket pocket. I wasn't going to show you this, he said, voice tight, but after last night, you deserve to know. He placed his phone on the table, unlocked it, and opened a video. My heart stopped when I saw who was in it. Adam. Nicole. And Nicole's mother. They were in a restaurant. I recognized the background. And I recognized the words almost instantly. Nicole's mother leaned forward and said, "Once Adam signs the transfer documents, we'll make sure his mother can never interfere again." Nicole laughed. Actually laughed. That same sugary laugh she used in front of Adam. "She won't even know what hit her," she said. "Adam trusts me completely now. He already thinks she's manipulative. Getting the house won't be hard." My entire body heated with a mixture of pain and shock. But then, Adam spoke. "I don't care what happens after the wedding," he said coldly. "She had her chance. She ruined everything." My heart cracked open. My own son. My flesh. My sacrifice. My years of struggle. My nights without sleep. My decades of love. Reduced to this. Nicole smirked and added, "Good. Once the house is signed over, we'll put it on the market. That money will set us up for life." Daniel paused the video. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I couldn't even cry anymore. I simply whispered, "He wants to sell my house." Daniel nodded sadly. "That's the plan." I felt a cold steel settle inside me. For the first time, the betrayal didn't feel like heartbreak. It felt like clarity. A door closing. A chapter ending. A truth settling like snow. I stood up slowly. "Daniel," I said calmly, "their plan depends on one thing. Adam having access to my documents." He nodded. "They won't get it," I continued. "Not now. Not ever." Daniel hesitated. "Auntie, what are you going to do?" I picked up the velvet box again and held it with steady hands. Not as a gift anymore, but as a reminder of everything I had survived. "I'm going to show Adam the truth," I said. "But not privately. Not quietly. Not gently." Daniel swallowed. "Auntie." "This time," I said firmly, "the humiliation will not belong to me." For a long second, the room felt charged, like electricity moving through the air. Daniel stood up and nodded slowly. "I'm with you," he said. "Whatever you decide." I looked him straight in the eye. "Good," I whispered. "Because the truth is going to explode wide open, right in front of the people who tried to destroy me." And with that, the woman they thought they could silence finally rose. The next morning, I woke up with a kind of calm I hadn't felt in months. Not a peaceful calm, no. It was the calm that comes when a storm is gathering inside you with perfect clarity. The kind of calm that says, "Enough. I will not be broken anymore." I stood in front of the mirror, looking at myself, really looking. My eyes were still swollen, my expression tired, but something new had settled in my reflection. Strength. Not loud strength. Quiet strength. The kind that comes from surviving betrayal from the person you loved the most. I tied my hair back, washed my face, and got dressed. Not in sadness. Not in fear. In purpose. Daniel arrived exactly at 9:15 a.m., holding a folder and a laptop bag. "I brought everything," he said. "The messages, the audio clips, the video, all the proof." I nodded slowly. Proof. Not anger. Not arguments. Not emotions. Truth. We sat at the table again, and I reviewed each file. Every lie Nicole told. Every manipulation. Every moment she twisted Adam's heart. Every plan she made to take the house. Every word Adam said about me, cold, distant, poisoned. Every second hurt. But I didn't flinch. Pain had lost its power over me. By the time I closed the laptop, a plan had already taken shape in my mind. Not revenge. Not cruelty. Just justice. Because what Adam did wasn't just disrespect. It wasn't just humiliation. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a crime of the heart. And sometimes, justice is the only language betrayal understands. "I'm ready," I said. Daniel hesitated. "Are you sure you want to confront him today?" "I'm done waiting," I replied. "I'm done hoping he'll come to his senses. The truth needs to come out now, before Nicole takes everything." Daniel nodded. "They're hosting a post-wedding family brunch at Nicole's parents' house. Everyone will be there." Everyone. Good. A public humiliation was what they had fed me last night. A public truth was what they were going to receive today. I opened the velvet box containing Adam's father's watch. The gold gleamed softly, almost painfully. For a moment, I traced the metal with my thumb, a memory of the man I once loved, the life we once built, the future we once imagined for our son. "This is the last thing your father left for him," I whispered. "But he doesn't deserve it anymore." Daniel touched my arm gently. "Auntie, whatever happens today, you're not alone." For the first time since the humiliation, I allowed a small breath to escape my chest. Not a smile. But something close to relief. "Let's go," I said. The drive to Nicole's parents' mansion felt longer than usual. Every corner of the city passed by in silence, but inside my mind, the storm grew sharper, colder, clearer. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to reveal the truth. And I would do it with dignity. When we arrived, the driveway was full of cars. The house was buzzing with laughter, happy newlywed energy, expensive perfume, champagne glasses clinking. The irony wasn't lost on me. Yesterday, they had banned me from the wedding. Today, they would face the consequences. Daniel walked beside me as we entered the backyard. Half the guests recognized me immediately. Their expressions froze, some surprised, some confused, some nervous. I ignored them. Nicole saw me first. Her smile dropped instantly, replaced by shock, then annoyance, then a mocking smirk. "Well," she said loudly enough for guests to hear, "looks like someone can't take a hint." Her mother joined her with the same sharp expression. "This is a private event," she said coldly. "You need to leave before you cause a scene." Again. I didn't look at them. I looked at Adam. He was standing in the center, surrounded by friends and co-workers. When he saw me approaching, his face paled. For the first time since the wedding humiliation, he actually looked unsettled. "Mom," he said quietly, "why are you here?" His voice wasn't kind. It wasn't angry. It was annoyed. Almost embarrassed. I stepped closer, meeting his eyes with steady calm. "You banned me from your wedding," I said softly. "You put my face on a giant screen calling me toxic. You humiliated me in front of hundreds." He shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, please, let's not do this here." "Why not here?" I asked, my voice still calm. "You had no problem humiliating me publicly." Surely the truth can be heard publicly too. Guests started gathering quietly, sensing tension. Nicole moved closer to Adam, gripping his arm possessively. "Adam," she whispered loudly, ensuring I heard, "your mother is unstable. Please get her out." Daniel stepped forward before Adam could reply. "Actually," he said sharply, "she's the only stable one here." Nicole narrowed her eyes. "Who invited you?" "I don't need an invitation," Daniel replied. "I'm here for the truth." Adam frowned. "What truth?" That was my moment. Slowly, deliberately, I reached into my bag and pulled out Daniel's laptop. I handed it to him. He opened the video, the one showing Adam, Nicole, and her mother plotting against me and my house. Without a word, Daniel pressed play. The backyard went silent. Completely silent. The audio filled the space, each word crystal clear. Nicole's voice. "Once Adam signs the transfer, we'll make sure his mother can never interfere again." Nicole's mother. She won't even see it coming. Then Adam's voice. My son's voice. Cold, harsh, unrecognizable. She had her chance. She ruined everything. Gasps spread across the crowd like wildfire. Nicole lunged forward, trying to snatch the laptop. "Turn that off. It's fake. It's edited." But Daniel stepped back, holding it high. "It's real," he said firmly. "I recorded it myself." Adam's face turned white. "Nicole," he whispered, What is this?" Nicole panicked. "Adam, baby, listen to me, she's twisting things." I cut her off quietly. "Your mother is toxic, remember? Controlling, manipulative, unwelcome. That's what you told everyone yesterday. But who was really controlling? Who was really manipulating?" Nicole shook her head furiously. "Adam, don't listen. She's turning you against me." "No," I said firmly. "The truth is turning him against you." Adam's breathing grew uneven. His eyes darted from me to the laptop to Nicole. Then to me again. "Mom," he whispered. I didn't know." I felt my throat tighten, but I stayed steady. "You didn't want to know," I replied softly. "You believed lies because they were easier than believing your mother." He closed his eyes, chest rising and falling rapidly. Nicole's voice rose into hysteria. "Adam, she's manipulating you right now. Can't you see? She's doing exactly what I said she would." But this time, for the first time, Adam didn't listen to her. Instead, he took one step toward me. Just one. But Nicole panicked. Her face twisted with anger and desperation. She grabbed his arm tightly. "Don't you dare," she hissed. "You are not choosing her over me." Adam didn't move. He didn't speak. He simply stared at me, really stared, like seeing me for the first time after months of blindness. And suddenly, his expression cracked. "Mom," he whispered again, voice breaking this time, "what have I done?" Nicole snapped. "She did this. She provoked this. She wants to tear us apart." I shook my head. "No," I whispered. "You did that all by yourself." Nicole screamed out of frustration. "Adam, tell her to leave. Tell her she's nothing to you." But Adam didn't answer. Because now, the truth had finally reached him. And truth cuts deeper than any humiliation. For a moment, the entire backyard froze. The sunlight dimmed behind the clouds, the laughter died completely, and dozens of eyes turned toward Adam, waiting for his next breath, his next word, his next realization. Nicole was still gripping his arm, her nails digging into his skin as if she could force him back into her control through sheer pressure. But Adam wasn't looking at her anymore. He wasn't looking at the guests. He wasn't looking at Daniel. He was looking at me. For the first time in months, he was truly seeing me. Not through the filter of Nicole's lies. Not through anger. Not through manipulation. But through the truth. His lips trembled. His eyes reddened. He swallowed hard, the weight of guilt finally settling on him like a mountain. "Mom," he whispered again, this time barely able to breathe. I don't know what came over me. I hurt you so much." Nicole panicked. "Adam, stop. She's brainwashing you. She brought fake videos." Daniel stepped forward. "Fake? Really? You want everyone to think we edited your voice? Your mother's voice? Your own words?" Nicole's face twisted with desperation. "Adam, don't listen to them. You're my husband now. You belong with me." That word. Belong. As if he was an object. A possession. A tool. Her grip on him tightened, but this time Adam slowly pulled his arm free. Not angrily. Not violently. Just firmly. "No," he said quietly, his voice breaking. "Not anymore." Nicole stared at him in disbelief. Adam took another shaky breath and stepped toward me. His voice cracked as he spoke, not with anger, but with shame so deep it bled into every word. "Mom, what I did yesterday, it was unforgivable. I humiliated you. I hurt you. I betrayed you. And I believed lies about you without even asking you once. I let someone turn me against the only person who ever stood by me." Tears streamed down his face, and for the first time since his father died, he looked like a little boy again. Lost. Broken. Ashamed. He lowered his head. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even deserve to ask. But please, please don't turn your back on me. I need you." My heart tightened. Not with softness, but with truth. Because a wound this deep doesn't heal in one apology. I stepped closer, but before I could speak, Nicole exploded, her carefully masked sweetness now replaced with pure venom. "This is your fault," she screamed at me. "You ruined everything. You brainwashed him. You always wanted to control him." Her mother rushed behind her. "Call the lawyer. We'll sue them for defamation." Daniel laughed bitterly. "Good luck with that. We have more evidence than you think." Nicole turned to Adam again, grabbing his shirt desperately. "Adam, don't do this. I did everything for us. Everything I did was for our future." "For our future?" Adam repeated, pain twisting his expression. "You plotted to steal my mother's house. You lied to me. You fed me poison. You isolated me from my own family." Nicole's voice softened suddenly, trembling. "I love you." "No," he said firmly. "You loved what you could get from me." The guests murmured. Someone gasped. Someone else whispered, "Good for him." Nicole's face broke. Shock, anger, humiliation flashing through her features. She tried one last desperate attempt. "If you walk away from me, your marriage is over." Adam's voice was calm, steady, and final. "It already is." Nicole froze. He gently twisted off his wedding ring, held it in his hand for a moment, then placed it on the table beside them. Guests gasped audibly. Nicole let out a choked sob, rushing inside the house. Her mother followed, cursing under her breath. A few relatives hurried after them, whispering in panic. And suddenly, the backyard was silent again. Adam turned back to me, tears still falling, shame still heavy in his eyes. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I destroyed the most important relationship in my life. I hurt the woman who raised me alone. The woman who gave me everything." He knelt in front of me, right there in front of everyone, his voice trembling. "I don't know how to fix this, but please, Tell me how to start." The entire crowd held their breath. For a moment, I simply looked at him. At the boy I raised. At the man he had become. At the mistakes he made. And the truth he finally saw. Then I spoke, quietly but clearly. "Adam, I will always love you. But love does not erase consequences." His face crumpled. "You believed lies instead of me. You threw me away like I was nothing. You humiliated me publicly. You hurt me in ways I can never forget. I will never again allow anyone, even my own child, to treat me like that." He sobbed, shoulders shaking. "I understand," he whispered. "I'll do whatever it takes to earn your forgiveness." I took a deep breath. "This time, you'll have to prove it. With actions. With responsibility. With maturity. With honesty." He nodded like a child receiving punishment he knew he deserved. Then, gently, I placed the velvet watch box in his hand. "This was your father's," I said quietly. "I wanted to give it to you yesterday. But you weren't ready." His fingers trembled as he opened it. When he saw the watch, he broke down completely. "I don't deserve this." "No," I said softly. "You don't. Not yet. But one day, maybe you will." Guests watched with emotional eyes, some wiping tears, some whispering blessings, some nodding in approval. Daniel stepped beside me, placing a supportive hand on my shoulder. Adam looked up at me, voice trembling. "Mom, will you come home with me? Please." I shook my head. "No, Adam. Today, you go home and think about who you want to be. A husband? A man? A son?" He nodded slowly. "I'll fix everything," he whispered. "You'll try," I corrected gently. "And I will watch. But I will not be hurt again." He lowered his head, accepting my boundaries. I turned around, breathing deeply, feeling strength rise inside me like sunlight after a long storm. Daniel walked me to the car. Before getting in, I looked back one last time. Adam stood alone in the center of the backyard. No wife, no in-laws, no lies left to hide behind. Just truth. And consequences. And the beginning of his redemption, if he chose it. As I drove away, I realized something. I didn't lose a son yesterday. He lost me first. And now, he would have to earn his way back. But as for me, I was finally walking forward. Stronger, clearer, wiser. Toward a life where no one would ever dim my dignity again. The storm had ended. And I was still standing. The mother won. Justice won. Truth won.